So, Hari Om, everybody. We are on the portion where means to remove the superimposition are being given. So last time we saw a few more verses in that, and we know that most of the verses have Swadhya Sapanayam Kuru. What we have to do is continue with our self-study. And then these are this is all what we will learn when we continue with this studies, with our studies. What is the body? Talked about the body. What is to be done without even giving the slightest chance to forget the Atman. The last verse that we saw in this was the city in the mirror example, where Bhagwan is asking us to understand that this world is like a reflection in the mirror. So just as the reflection cannot affect the mirror in any way, this world is existing in consciousness. It is existing on the substratum of that supreme reality. And it is like a reflection because the superimposition can never have any effect on the substratum. That is the meaning. Because it is a superimposition. It is not really real. There are not two different things. There is not a mirror and a reflection. There is not a consciousness and the world. Only one real thing is there. So the real thing is the mirror in the example, and the real thing is the consciousness in our own Vedanta. So consciousness is real. The world is being superimposed on this consciousness. And so the world cannot have any effect on the consciousness. What we need to understand on an individual level is that whatever is happening in this world does not really affect me as the supreme consciousness. If I am getting affected by what people are saying, I feel hurt, I feel happy, I feel sorrowful, then the one that is feeling all those emotions is the ego, is the jiva. And that also is mithya, it is false. Okay, so that if we can remember that. Now going ahead, yat satyabhutam nijarupamadhyam chidadvayanandamarupamakkriyam tadetya mithya vapurutsrijeta shailushavadveshamupatamatmanaha. Attaining that which is intrinsically one's essence, which is absolute knowledge and bliss, non-dual, which is beyond all forms and activities, one should cease identifying with the false body like the actor who relinquishes his dress and makeup. Example is given of the actor. Shakespeare also has said this world is a stage, right? And we are all acting. So what is happening right now in the world is that, let's take the example of the actor. So there is an ordinary man who is a husband, a father, a brother, a son to somebody. He goes on the stage in the theater and he wears the dress of a king. Now, all of a sudden on the stage, he's a king. So he's got his servants and he's got his court jesters and ministers, etc., etc., etc. But is it really true? Is he really a king? No, he's playing a role. And as soon as the play is over and the dress is removed in the dressing room, he becomes this ordinary man that he already was. Now, what is happening with us is, what is the intrinsic nature of that man is that ordinary man who is a husband and a father and a son. The intrinsic nature of us, is Satchitanand Brahman. That is the intrinsic nature. Now what we have done is we have worn this dress of the body. This body is like a dress. That's why some texts will say the jiva discard. Bhagavad Gita said that. Vasansi jirnani. Just like we discard the clothes, the jiva discards its clothes of the body. So this jiva has taken on this body, and now the jiva is, the body is male or female, and the jiva thinks I'm male or female, or I'm a mother, or I'm a teacher, or I'm a student, I'm a whatever. So intrinsic nature is different than what this role we have taken on. Not that we have taken on this role knowingly, but because of the push of our vasanas, because of the force of our previous karmas, we have taken birth in this particular body. Okay, we have to understand this, because until somebody tells us this, we didn't know that when we were born, and we were not into this knowledge. Did we know that, like, we are now born into this body? We thought this is me. So this is what he's saying, which is intrinsically one's essence. What is your essence? Your essence is Satchit Ananda Brahma. In a sense, we all are that, not only just the humans, all animals, all insects, all reptiles, all plants, all minerals, inert world. There is existence principle in the inert world. So all of us are that, but now we have taken on a body, and now we are called that. We're called a reptile, we're called a rat, mouse, cat, dog, animal, elephant, whatever, or a human being, then male, female, beautiful, not beautiful. All these things are taken on, and he says, discard this. Just like the actor, upon the end of the play, he discards. So discarding for us is only in the mind, understanding that I am not the body. There's nothing like physically discarding the body. There is absolutely nothing like physically killing the body either. There's nothing of that sort. Understand in our mind. So that's why the masters are telling us this over and over again. Okay, which is beyond all forms and activities. So formless it is. Because Brahman is formless, it can take on any form. That is to be understood. See, the better example is of a movie. If that screen was of some color, then it cannot show that particular color. Say the screen is red. If the heroine wears a red sari or a red dress, then it won't be seen. That's why that screen is white. The screen is colorless, so that all the colors can be seen clearly on that screen. Same way, Brahman is formless. Jiva also is formless. Please understand. Brahman is very subtle. Jiva is there. This Jiva is not male or female, doctor, engineer. All this is belonging to the body only. The Jiva is also formless. And therefore, because it is formless, the ego is formless, it takes on variety of forms. See, if the ego was of one form only, okay? If the ego was, say, of the form of anger, some people are always angry, then that person will never have jealousy, never have happiness, never have sorrow, only angry. Because that anger is now if it is the intrinsic personality of the ego or the jiva, all these other emotions that jiva will not emote. Like, you see, if the eyes were to get attached to one color, like you see blue, and then, okay, now the eyes have become blue, they will not see any other color. So the eyes are never attached to any color. That's why they can see all the colors. That way, the jiva or the ego is totally formless. Therefore, the ego takes on many, many forms throughout the day. In the morning, it is the walker going to the gym. Then it's a cook. Then it's studying. Then it's teaching. Then it's listening. So the ego is changing forms every minute. That tells you that it is formless. If it was of any one form, that form cannot change. So that's why this is beyond all forms, which is beyond, even jiva is beyond all forms. So what to talk of Brahman, which is even more subtler. And activities, non-doer. See, understand that the jiva is mithya. Can the reflection do any work? See, there may be a mirror here, and then the mirror is also reflecting what I am now talking. But is the mirror really doing the talking? The reflection in the mirror really, can it really talk? It can't. So the jiva is also beyond activity actually. But the jiva is, even though it is beyond activities, it does not do any, it takes upon itself that, oh, I am the one that acted. This is taking on, that if we can just discard that thought. And the way to discard the thought is to say that I am not that's why the next step is in karma yoga. I am a servant of the Lord. I'm an instrument of the Lord. And therefore I'm doing it. I am not doing it. I, as the instrument, am doing it. That's the first step. And then you move on ahead. So this is one should cease identifying with the false body. Already Bhagwan Shankaracharya himself is body false. False here is mithya, please understand. So it is false because at one stage in my life, this body was not like this. When I was born, was this the body that I was born with? No, it was totally different body. Then I grew a little bit, then the body changed. Then middle age, the body changed. Old age, now it will change even more. There is an app, on the iPad. I don't know how many of you have seen it. It shows you how you will look like at 80 years. I don't know how many of you, I saw it, and I thought, okay, maybe I should put my stuff and see how. So even the app is telling you the body is changing. If it is changing, it can't be real. Anything that is changing cannot be really real. I'm saying again, I'm using the word really real. Okay. So really real is that which does not change in the 3 periods of time. And because this body has changed, that's why Bhagavan is saying, stop identifying with the false body. No need to discard the body. Take care of the body. We have no problem with that. Take care of the body, understanding it is not me. You take care of your car, don't you? Something goes on gas, you'll immediately go get gas, you'll get it tuned up, you'll get it painted and cleaned and everything. So like that, you take care of the body, but don't never think you're the body. Okay. Now we go on to a different topic. So the perceived I factor false. This is also a very, very important topic, which we have covered, but Bhagwan is hammering it into us because at first go, we may not understand it. And even if we understand it, it's, in a cup of tea, if you just add sugar and then start drinking the tea right away, the tea is still going to taste not very sweet. Why? Because you have not stirred the sugar in there. That stirring is missing. So what Bhagwan is doing, he's actually given us the knowledge, given us the sugar, now he's stirring it in our head. The knowledge has to be stirred and stirred and stirred. Stirring is what you go again and you go like this, right? Again. So that's what he's doing. We have seen these ideas before. So I'm going a bit fast. If anybody has any questions, please stop me, okay, and ask. Sarvatmana drishyamidam rashaiva naivahamartha kshanikatva darshanat janamyaham sarvamiti pratitihi kuto hamade kshanikasya siddhet. The objective world is quite unreal. Neither is the ego real, for it is seen to be fleeting. How then can the apparent I know all be true of the ego, etc., which is momentary? This idea I've told you before. I'm going to again repeat it. See, the objective world is quite unreal. First line. Why? It doesn't fit the definition of real. Vedantic definition of real is that which does not change in the 3 periods of time. Can we say that day we had snow, we had so much heat in the summer, then we had so much snow, now we have rain, tomorrow there might be something else. Does anybody need proof that the world is changing? Right? Your own world, hasn't it changed? When we were born, we were somewhere else, then we went to school, then we went to college, then we came here. Our own personal world also has changed. Okay, that's why the objective world is that which I see. What we forget in this objective world is that I see my body also, but that I've forgotten. I think I'm the body, so body becomes the subject and everything around me is the objective world. What needs to be understood is that the body also is a part of the objective world because I see the body. Neither is the ego real. How many, we have said this long. What is the ego? Ego is a reflection of consciousness in the pool of the mind. Can the reflection be real? Why it is not real? It has a dependency. It is dependent on the medium. It is dependent on the object. Okay. these are fundamental ideas. Okay, so please grasp them and hold on to them and use them in your practical life. And I've given you, when you get hurt, use this argument. This ego, who is getting hurt? First you ask yourself the question, who is getting, because I am getting hurt. Okay, then who is that I? Who is that I? Answer is, it's the ego. The ego is getting hurt. Then you bring this teaching in. Ego only is false. How can the hurt be real? Ego only is false because it has a dependency. For it is seen to be fleeting. I just now told you, ego, right now, this is the speaker ego because I'm speaking. Then it will be the TV watching ego. Then it will be the sleeper ego. It will go to sleep. And in the morning, it will be the walking ego, walker ego. And then again, that ego will come back into teaching at 10 o'clock. So again, teaching ego. It's fleeting, it's changing all the time. How do you call it real? It's not real. How then can the apparent I know all? Apparent I, that's why apparent word is used. Because I say, now I see, I know it, I do it, I did it, I enjoy, I'm enjoying, I'm happy. That I is only apparent. The one that is emoting all the emotions, feeling happy, feeling sad, jealous, angry, compassionate, loving, whatever feeling is happening that is experienced by the jiva or the ego. Now that ego only is not real. So how the feelings can be real? What happens is, and this is what Tripti had brought up, then people think that we are feeling less. Okay, it is not that we are feeling less. We have the feeling, but we as spiritual seekers cannot get carried away by those feelings. And other people don't understand that because the other people are actually getting carried away by those feelings. They cry, then they get totally excited, or they get absolutely happy, jump up and down, or agitated, frustrated, whatever it is, whatever is causing it, they're actually flowing with that thought. A spiritual seeker, being a spiritual seeker, does not flow with the thought. That's why one of our Swamijis very beautifully put it, let the BMI not run behind the BMW. You see, there's a BMW going, and the wife says to the husband, I wanted that car. Did you give me? You only gave me a stupid Toyota. So what's happening? The mind is running behind that BMW. And as spiritual seekers, you must not let the mind run like that. So the BMW is just an example. It's running with your anger. It's running with your jealousy, greed, whatever there is in the mind. It's running. Don't let it run. And that's where people think that we are not. Are you not excited? We are going, theek hai, hum ja rahe hain kahin. It's nothing to get excited about, right? Kuto hamadehe kshanikasya siddhet. It is proven to be kshanika. That's why Buddha also said, sarvam kshanikam kshanikam, sarvam dukkham dukkham. So because it is momentary, which means it is changing. Whatever is changing is finite, and finite is always sorrow giving. Because what I want, when it goes away, I am sorrowful. And what I don't want, it comes. I don't know, that is the rule. What you don't want will come, and what you want will go away. Now you are sorrowful only all the time. So these verses, this perceived I factor falls. The practical application of this, use this knowledge when it practically happens to you. So even in happiness, though, you need to do this, Happiness also. Okay, so you see, you're happy. Is there a necessity to get so excited that you call 10 different people, this happened, this happened, this happened? There's no need. Please understand like that. Now, aham padarthastvaham sakshi nityam sushuptavapi bhava darshanat brute yajo nityaiti shruti swayam tat pratyagatma sadasad vilakshanaha. But the real I witnesses the ego, etc. It is always there, even in deep sleep. It is unborn, eternal, says Shruti herself, different, therefore, from the gross, and the subtle is Paramatman. Is different from the gross and the subtle. So, but the real I. So there is an I. Okay, now the I that is feeling, seeing, touching, tasting, doing, enjoying is said to be false. So if that is false, but then my experiences I feel are real. So somebody is seeing that experience, somebody is witnessing that experience, which what happens is when we are not into this knowledge, we don't understand that there is a difference between the witness and the ego. This comes in Mundaka Upanishad. There are two birds, Shruti says, perched up on the same tree. One bird, the lower bird, is pecking at the fruit and enjoying, and sometimes saying, oh, this is sour and this is sweet. So he's going between joy and sorrow. And the bird on the upper branch is only witnessing what this other bird is doing. That is the real I. That bird is the real I. Now, how do I know that this is correct? Vedanta, I told you, is its own proof. We are the proof of Vedanta. Okay, so the proof of this is in deep sleep. What happens is in the waking state, we don't realize the mind is so impure, agitated, frustrated. And when I say agitated, it is either agitated because it's very happy or it's agitated because it's sad. Agitation is a movement, and in Vedanta, agitation refers to happiness also. Because when I use the word agitated or agitation, people might, if I say I'm agitated, you're going to say that you're going to think that there's something sorrowful happening. But in Vedantic language, if I say I'm agitated, it could be that I'm happy, means there is some movement going on in my mind. It is not stable. I'm happy, I'm excited. And that also is an agitation. So in deep sleep, and because of these agitations, these movements of the mind, it is difficult to recognize that witness. It's difficult in the waking state, is it? Because every time anything happens, I think it is me only, it is me only, it is me only. In the dream also, it is difficult because in the dream, you're dreaming, and when you wake up, then you can think. When you know this knowledge, you can think, okay, I was dreaming, but my mind was fast asleep. And how do I remember that dream? See, we may not, sometimes the dream is so vivid that we will remember it absolutely as it happened. This must be your experience. Sometimes the dream is very vague. We kind of know that we dreamt, but exactly what did I dream? I don't remember. But I do remember that there was some dream. It wasn't a deep sleep state. Okay. So when I wake up, then I say that, okay, the mind was folded, ego was folded, and yet I know now that I had dreamt. So there must be some entity present in that dream state. And then in deep sleep, it is very evident because during the deep sleep, I know nothing whether I'm in my room, whether I'm in somebody else's room, in a hotel room, on the floor, on the bed, whether I'm a king, I'm a beggar, I'm a male, I'm a female, I'm a mother, not a mother, nothing I know. But when I wake up, there is very vivid memory that I slept well and I knew nothing. Now, where is that memory coming from? Because the ego was completely folded. See, in the waking state, what we think, of course, ego remembers that, I'd met you so many years ago and this is what we did, etc. Waking state, we think that. But how do I remember the dream when I wake up? And how do I remember when I wake up from the deep sleep that I slept well? Does somebody else have to tell me? Oh, if I was snoring, somebody else can tell me you were snoring like crazy. But that I slept well, that only I know. I don't need anybody else, right? And that is the proof that there is some other entity. That's why it said different from the gross and the subtle. So gross is the gross body and subtle is the mind intellects, because Sukshma Sharira and Sthula Sharira. So this is different from these bodies. and it is the witness. And even in the waking state, this witness is there because it is unchanging in the 3 periods of time. You cannot say that, oh, when I slept and I woke up, but now it has gone away somewhere. You get the point? Everybody gets the point? Okay. That is the real I, the big I. In Gurudev's language, he would say that is the big I and the ego is the small I. This is how Gurudev would describe it. Okay. Vikarinam sarva vikaraveta nitya vikaro bhavitum samarhati manoratha swapna sushuptishu sputam punardrashtamasatvam metayoho. That which is the knower of all changes in all things which are liable to change must doubtless be eternal and changeless. Again and again, the unreality of the gross and the subtle bodies is clearly perceived in one's fancy, dream, and deep sleep. Fancy here means daydreaming, imagination, fancy. I imagine this. Anything that you think about the future is an imagination because that may not happen. I can plan, even the planning is actually at a subtle level. It's that you imagine that this is my plan for tomorrow. You could wake up in the morning and things could be completely different. We experience this, like this is what I'm going to do, this, and suddenly in the morning some phone call comes, something comes, and then your whole day is shattered. So anything that is thought about the future, it falls under the realm of imagination. And then dream is when you sleep and then you dream, that is also, and deep sleep. So now what he's saying is that how do I know that I was awake in the morning and then I went into deep sleep and then I dreamt? There has to be a common factor in these 3 states. See, because I don't wake up today and I don't say that, who am I? Who was I yesterday? I know that I was Jaya yesterday and I'm Jaya this morning also. I know that. So there is a continuity of thought. And I remember what I did yesterday. Right? I went here, I went there, something happened, this happened, that happened. All that memory is there. Therefore, memory is very important to prove the presence of consciousness. So how is it possible when the mind, intellect has, in deep sleep folded? Is the mind remembering? Is the ego remembering? In waking, you can say, yes, it is my ego that is remembering. Okay, we'll grant you that. It's not correct, but we will grant you that. How does the ego remember dream when ego was folded in? Because dream happens after deep sleep. In deep sleep, the mind is folded. How do you remember the dream? How do you remember deep sleep? And how do you remember your previous waking states, previous days, previous months? I mean, not that every single day from our birth we remember, but so much of it we remember. I went to this school, I was born here, these were my friends, this is so many things we remember. Right? So there is a continuity, and that continuity is unbroken because the ego breaks in deep sleep. Breaks means takes a break. It goes to sleep too. But the pure consciousness never takes a break. Never takes a break. There's no break in pure consciousness at all. And that is what he's saying. That must doubtless be eternal and changeless. Because you see, nobody, if things are changing and both things are changing, you cannot see the change. To see any change, there has to be a fixed background. Again, going to the movie example, the screen is not moving at all. It is very, very stationary. And on that, you see all the play of the movie happening. Some background has to be steady, unchanging. On that changeless background alone, can you see the changes happening? That's why we have many people, if you have experience, a lot of people tell me, I don't feel old inside, they say. Inside I don't feel old. What they don't understand is what is inside is the pure consciousness. And then some of them are there who they think the body also is not old. The body that is wrong, because the body is aging, body is changing. So the limitations of the body have to be recognized. It's my vehicle, okay, now it can't do something, like common example, micro of 10 years old, it doesn't function as well. But electricity is functioning in the same way. That is why we hear people saying, I don't feel old, can you do so? No, that I can't do, but I don't feel I'm old. So they're perplexed. Why can't I do this? Because I'm still young. What needs to be recognized that yes, you will always remain young, but your body is not going to remain young. That you have to understand. Because you are different than the body. They don't understand. They say, I am the body and I don't feel I'm old. So now my body can do anything. Try. So many seniors here. Try running, try doing something. Don't try to compete with young people. Try to even eat as much as they eat, finish. Next day you are sick. Right? You can't, because the body cannot handle it. That part needs to be recognized. So there is a changeless substratum within us, because of which we see our body changing from elementary school, high school, then college, middle age, youth, middle age, old age. All these changes in the body we are seeing because there is a changeless factor inside. Because it is changeless, we see the changes. Otherwise, if that was also changing, suppose if the I, the capital I, it was in the baby body, it was a baby. Then in the, as the body grew, that one also grew. If that thing kept on changing along with the body, how will it have memory of what it was previously? Or how will it know that this change has happened? Yesterday, this body was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, this body was like this, and today this body is like this. How it will know if that it also changed in 5 years, that also changed along with the body? This has to remain steady, and then it can see the movement of the finger. Now both are moving simultaneously. How they will know the change? One has to be changeless. To understand changes, one has to be changeless. And it is our experience that we have seen our body changing, our mind also changing. There were so many things in our childhood that we liked and so many things that we didn't like. And now it could be the opposite. That which I didn't like, I like now. That which I liked, I don't like now. Are we still playing with dolls? Are we still playing with marbles? We are not, right? So that's why sputum, it is very clear actually. But people don't understand because they don't have this knowledge. So that's why they go on saying, I feel I'm very young. And yes. That's absolutely correct. It is correct. And even if we think inside, we'll feel exactly the same. Like we felt 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Inside will be the same. Body, no. Okay? Therefore, because it starts with ataha, Atobhimanam tyajamasa pinde pindabhimaninyapi buddhi kalpite kalatraya badhyamakhanda bodham nyatva swamatma namupaihi shantim. Therefore, reject your identification with this mass of flesh and with the ego or the subtle body, of which are the imaginations of the intellect. By realizing your own self, which is absolute knowledge, which cannot be denied in the 3 periods of time, attain to the state of supreme peace. Therefore, so he has given so many reasons that first, everything that is seen is mithya, and we see our body. We also know that in the the real I witnesses the ego. There is a witness. And how do I know that? Because I remember the three states: waking, dream, and deep sleep. So there is something which is there, which is witnessing, because of which I have the memory. And then there is to observe change, to notice change, there has to be a changeless something. You may not know what it is, but something changeless has to be there. Just like the screen doesn't change, doesn't move, it is very stationary, and on that you see the movement. Same way, inside there is somebody who is very stationary, very changeless, very eternal, and on that substratum we see the changes in the body and the mind and the intellect. And therefore, it is like this. This is how it is. This is how Shruti explains it. Therefore, you identify with that which is changeless, and not with this body which is made out of flesh and bones and matter and all that. And also the subtle body, mind. There are some people who don't identify with the body, but they think they're very intelligent. So that is identification with the intellect. People think I'm very compassionate, very loving. That is identification with the mind, because the actual I doesn't have a mind intellect. Paramatma, the supreme self, has no antakarana. That is one definition of Paramatma. And all the feelings and the thoughts and everything are in the antakarana, the inner instrument, which is the subtle body, which is the mind intellect stuff. And Bhagwan doesn't have that. So he doesn't feel. He doesn't, nothing affects him. Nyatva swamatma mupaihi shantim. Nyatva, having known this. That's why I told you, you'll get peace, if you, because when you get hurt, it applies more. I've always told you, because then we feel sad. We say, so-and-so said something to me. I feel insulted. Why did she do this? Why did he do that? Then you question, who is the one that is feeling hurt? Am I that one? That is false. If one that is feeling is only false, then how that feeling will be true? Bring it in. Practical aspect. Tyaja bhimanam kulagotra nama rupa shrameshwar meshwar dashavashriteshu lingasya dharmanapi kartrutadim dihi Tyaktva bhavakhanda sukhaswarupaha. Renounce your identification with family, lineage, name, form, and order in life. Attributes of the body, which is like a foul corpse, holy smokes. So to renounce your ideas of agency, etc., attributes of the subtle body, thus become the very essence of absolute bliss. Abhimana, tyaja abhimana. Abhimana here is identification. Identification with kula, family, means, okay, that doesn't mean that if somebody asks you which family you belong to, you don't tell, oh, I don't, that is the highest, I have no family, I have no name, but in the transactional, but don't take pride in it. My family, I belong to the great, Mahatma Gandhi's family, so-and-so's family. That pride you should not take, because the family thing is, the body is belonging to that family. Even the jiva is not belonging to the family. So when you take pride in your family, you are identifying with the body. That is why. If you are asked, definitely you say, I belong to this family. This, just say it. You're not like taking pride in it. So that is what is meant by renouncing. Not that you leave your family. I'll change my name. I don't want to be identified with. Not that sort of thing. You keep your own name. You keep your father's name. You tell also your father. You tell this family you belong to. But my family, great. Yours, okay. No, that should not be. Because when you do that, then you have completely identified yourself with the body. And because the family and all is belonging to the body, it's not even belonging to jiva. How can it belong to Brahman? Doesn't. Kula, gotra. Gotra is, where we belong to this rishis. Gotra, go is cows. So previously, the wealth of the rishis, everybody's wealth was cows. So if a rishi in the ashram, there should be many cows, then he was considered richer than the other rishi who had less cows. So this Gotra is Kaundinya Gotra, Vatsa Gotra. I don't know if any one of you has heard these names, right? We have that. Like we have. So what it is telling us that we belong to the lineage of that Rishi. Kaundin. Just now I read Sri Ram was Kaundinya Gotra. One of the books I read, you know. So that lineage is there. The lineage is there. You're born into that lineage. You do not deny it. But there's no need to count in your great. What's okay? He was poorer. He had less cows than count. That should not be there. That should not be there. Because again, the lineage is belonging to the body. It does not belong to the jiva. Everything is belong to the body. Nama, your name, your family name. Body has been given the name, not the jiva. Jiva doesn't have. Rupa form. Body, mind also doesn't have a form. Like body has the form. So you're identifying with the form. So when I say, I'm so strong, I'm so beautiful, I'm so handsome, I'm so intelligent, all those kinds of things, stop taking, not that you should not study and you should not be intelligent, but understand that all this is, one understanding is, think about it as a grace of the Lord. The Lord has given it to you. What is it? So why are you taking pride in it? Don't take that pride in it that way. Rupa ashrama. Ashrama is brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha and sannyas, you know. So, okay, you're a student and then you're married. So because when you take pride in that, then you're identifying yourself. And even ashram belongs to the body. Everything belongs to the body. Nothing belongs to the jiva. Brahman is way away from jiva also. Okay. Shavashriteshu. This body is like a foul corpse. You know why? Because it's inert. Body is inert. Remember that. The only reason that this body is, you know, not smelling foul is because of the presence of that Atma within us. The minute that subtle body leaves and death happens, you leave. They don't, in India, they don't even leave it for 1 day, 1 minute even. Why? It's impure. All the purity, all the beauty, everything is. Therefore, in Bhaja Govindam, Bhagavan Shankaracharya says that if you go for physical beauty, it is going to go away one day. The beauty of the person is because of the presence of that consciousness in that body. As long as that consciousness is functioning through the body is beautiful. Once it leaves, once the consciousness leaves, the body is. So even while the consciousness is functioning through your body, means even while you're alive, understand that this body is awake, it is inert, I have to use it as a slave. I should not be a slave to the body. Oh, I'm getting wrinkles. Now what am I going to do? My hair is turning gray. Oh my God, you know, what if somebody sees I wear glasses? Wow. That though people are like, oh, I won't even read in the temple. Why? Oh, then people will know that I have to wear glasses to read. So I won't read. I've seen all this. Huh? They're so upset. They are so upset about the age. If they had this knowledge that I'm ageless, I'm eternal, but they think, no, people will know what my age is. So they don't want to. Lingas here. Linga, male, female. Is Jiva male or female? Nope. Jiva is not male or female. Body is male or female. Dharmanapi kartrutvadane. So dharma, so to ideas of agency. Doership. Agency is doership. Kartrutva. That's what we are seeing now in chapter 3. This ego of doership. I am doing that. Don't have that notion. That is what makes karma, converts karma into karma yoga. Is that notion has to be removed, because the one who is doing the action is the perceived ego, which is false. So you have to understand that whatever action is happening because of the play of the gunas. The sattva, rajas, tamas They interact with each other and action comes out. What I do is they have done the interplay, action came out. Now I just owned up to that action. You know who did it? I did it. I own up to that, something which is not mine. That is a superposition. It has actually been done by the gunas. Prakriti is doing it. And we are under the control of Prakriti. The realized master, Prakriti is under his control. For us, we are under the control of Prakriti, and then we take ownership of it. You see, I did it. That is what should be given up. Tyaktva, bhava akhanda sukha swarupa, tyaktva. Renounce all these things. Renouncing only in the mind. Nothing to be given up physically. Don't give up your name, don't give up your form, don't give up your body, nothing to be. Only in your mind you understand you are not this. That's why Vedanta is only a shift in vision. That's it. Only in the mind. Be firm. Firm. We are not firm. It's hard. And then bhava akhanda sukha swarupa. Akhanda means without a break. You are of the nature swarupa. Your nature is of that eternal bliss, unbroken bliss. Right now, the happiness that we experience is broken. The minute something not good happens, that happiness breaks. So we feel happy one day, sad, happy, sad, happy, sad. Like the log of wood Gurudev has given. If you're like a log of wood on the ocean, when the high wave comes, the log of wood goes up. And when the low tide is there, the log of wood is down there. So that is what we are. We are going up and down, bobbing up and down, joy, sorrow, joy, sorrow. Be like the lighthouse. Gurudev says, be like the lighthouse. So no matter whether it's a big wave lashing at you or a small wave just coming and lovingly touching you, you are unaffected. So this is what bhava. Then akhanda sukha only, you will be sukhi only, because anything outside is not affecting you. You will be sukhi. Okay, though people might think that you are feeling less, but actually you are sukhi. You don't understand. Okay. Now, condemnation of the, any questions so far? Anybody wants to ask anything? Everybody okay? All right. Okay. We'll do one more verse. Condemnation of the ego. Santyanne pratibandhaha punsa Santyanne pratibandha punsaha samsarahetavo drishtaha teshamekam moolam prathama vikaro bhavatyahankaraha. It is observed that there are other obstacles also which hurl man into a whirl of births and deaths. Their one root, for the reasons given above, is the ego, the first modification of ignorance. So the first modification of ignorance is what? Maya or Prakriti. Okay? Prakriti or Maya is ignorance. Avidya. Avidya. So in this avidya, in the ignorance of what? Ignorance of my real nature. So now we heard the reasons as to that ego is a perceived factor, means perceived, whatever is perceived is false. That's why it's known as the perceived I factor. I know, don't I perceive my ego? Don't I know right now that I'm speaking? That is what is meant by perceiving of ego. So when I start cooking, don't I know that I'm cooking? So my ego is cooking and I see that ego. And in that also then there are oh, I'm a good cook, I'm not a good cook, all these there, but that is further. Right now. So that perceived I factor, ego, it is ignorance. What is ignorance in that? To know, to think that that ego is real is ignorance. That is the ignorance. So not knowing my real nature as the witness, as the Sakshi Paramatma, I think myself to be the reflection. Instead of me considering myself to be the object, I am thinking that this reflection in the mirror is real. That's what this is. And that is the root cause. That is the root of all further things that are happening. So I think that first mistake is I think that I'm the speaker. Now the next one is I'm a really good speaker, or I'm not such a good speaker. What are people thinking of me? All this is coming out of that ego. See, when I think, what are people thinking of me, of my lecture, or something like that, it is the ego. And I've taken ownership of that action. That's why in Karma Yoga we say, don't take ownership of the action. Say that you're doing it for the Lord. So if whatever praise comes, it goes to the Lord. Whatever criticism comes, that also goes to the Lord. That also goes to the master. You're just a servant doing his job. Whatever job has come out of you, if it is praised, fine. If it is not praised, that's fine too. Because it is not your action that you have done. That mentality has to be developed. Here it is observed there are other obstacles, which will be talked about, other further obstacles, but the Moola Avidya, this is called Moola Avidya. Moola is root. The root cause is to consider this ego to be real. I've considered the small I to be real. That's where I've made a mistake. Original mistake I have made. That's called Moola Prakriti or Moola Avidya. Now further, there will be more and more. The more I consider myself to be this ego, to be this jiva, more and more problems will keep coming. This is what it is. And hurl man into whirl of births and deaths. Why? Because then I'm taking on the doership and the enjoyership. So I'm taking on the results of all the actions that this ego is doing, which ego is false. The karma that has come out of it is false, but I have made the ego also real. And then of course, whatever karma is coming out of that ego is also real. I've taken it to be real. And then I have doership in it. I'm the one that did it, and I'm the one that will enjoy. And that is what is causing this cycle of birth and death. The idea, the notion is causing. Karma by itself is inert. It cannot give merit or demerit. Because a soldier on the battlefield is also killing, and a thief in the village also is killing. Both is killing. But the soldier is not affected by it. Whereas the thief is. Because the thief says, I am the one that is killing. The soldier is saying, I'm doing this for my country. So he is absolved of all sins. Soldier is absolved, but not the thief. Where the action is the same. It's both killing only. No? Whether you kill on a battlefront or killing is killing. That's what the difference is. The ignorances of the reality. So Gurudev gives this example. See how the ego need not get bound. The reason that the ego is getting bound into this cycle of birth and death is the ownership. Okay, so by not taking ownership of it, the ego cannot get bound. Now, Gurudev has given this example that there was a man who was going to be hung tomorrow, if that was his death punishment. But on the previous night, he just died of natural causes in his prison cell. Tripti, do you remember this? This example? No? Hasten slowly, kindle life. So this person died. Now who are they going to hang? The person is already dead in the cell. The next day he was supposed to be hung, but who are they going to hang? So this is what is with the ego. The ego, while it's taking ownership, it is getting into the cycle of birth and death. Now the ego has cut off the ownership from the action and the result. Who will get whirled into this cycle of birth and death then? Because the ego has cut off its ownership. So we have to understand that the ego is false. We have to therefore do actions as an instrument of the Lord, as a servant of the Lord, for some higher altar. This is exactly the point that we are now studying in the Sunday class. This is exactly the point. It is the ego. There we say jiva. It is actually the ego. Okay, so everybody okay? All right, pretty simple. He's repeating it, and I told you always the reason we need the repetition is we have to get established in it. The knowledge has to be stirred in our mind, made firm in our mind, and you will know that the knowledge is firm when in your real life, which is false, but anyway, we think our life is real. When those situations come and you bring this knowledge into practice, that has to happen. Until that happens, You have to keep studying. You have to keep studying, basically. Then once it becomes so firm, like once you stir that sugar so well into the tea, that tea has to taste sweet, because the sugar is now completely melted into the tea. That way, this knowledge has to become wisdom. It becomes wisdom. Knowledge becomes wisdom when you use it in your practical life. So as long as you can't remember those things, then you need to keep studying. Okay.
Jayaji, I had one question.
Yeah.
We were not here last week, but I was just listening to the recording from last week, and you had mentioned about the micro and the macro levels,
Macro.
right? What was the reason for that explanation? I mean, like in what context?
Which verse was it though?
I think it was
1 sec.
289.
Totality and okay, so it is coming in 289 because that's where my notes are. The totality and the individual, because Brahmanda and Pindanda word has come in the second line. So Brahmanda is the totality. That's where our totality is the macrocosm. And then there is an individuality. The chart that we have, Gurudev's chart, BMI chart, is the individual chart. That is the individual personality. So there is the Om, the Vasanas, the BMI, PFT, OET. Same way, the Om remains the same, but there is a total, that is the Virat Purusha. There is a totality, same chart. And there the Vasanas is Ishvara. The V is Ishvara, and M and I is Hiranyagarbha. And the body, the gross body, is either Vaishvanara or Virat, you can call it. So, because he said what you have to give up is both totality and individuality. Actually, you don't have to give up totality. If you give up your individuality, if you stop thinking of yourself as something separate from everybody else, then the totality will merge. Like I give you the example of the team leader. The team leader is a team leader until the team is there. Now all the team members quit the job and go away. Can we call the team leader as a team leader? So Ishvara is there as long as we are there, individuals, as long as the jivas are there. And like I think Mohini said, not that all the jivas can get realized at the same time. That's why Ishvara becomes permanent, Akshara, that way, in that sense. But ultimate analysis is that Ishvara also is not Akshara. It will merge into pure consciousness. Ishvara will merge when all the individuals realize their true nature. When all the team members go away, team leader is merged automatically.